my final question. And I'm thinking of women who have had a lot of wounding around the feminine, myself included. Like growing up was a very, very painful place, constantly projected upon in ways that wounded my heart very deeply. And so I wonder what you would say to women who are rebuilding trust in other women, of how to open the doorway to heal together.
I would say that the journey is always through shadow work. Mm-hmm. I think it always starts by admitting we are ashamed of this and this. Yeah. We don't speak the truth about this in this situation. We don't admit to how unhappy, for example, we are in our marriage. We don't admit to how overwhelmed we're feeling being a mother or taking care of our parents. I feel this work starts through the shadows. And by illuminating the shadows, we realize we don't have to be afraid because we're all there together. Not everyone has this. It's collective. The shadow work that we do for ourselves, we do for every woman next to us as well. If we don't fear the truth any longer, then we are free to talk. Yeah. So by starting to open up about what it is you are going through and what it is you are feeling, you're ashamed to admit, this is where it starts. This is where the process started for me years ago. But I started going into the feelings that are actually hid very efficiently under the carpet. Yeah. To go to a therapist, and I went to a female hypnotherapist, and I started uncovering and having the courage to uncover the layers and look at, why do I not want to talk about this issue in my life? Like, where does it lead me?
So powerful. I want to add one layer, and then Hualani, I want to hear from you. I feel so much resonance with what you're saying, that it really is entering through the shadows. And I think one of the biggest pieces that I feel is included in that is having conversations about what we're identified with, because these stories become so real. And it's like really working with our conditioned mind. And not just, I think if one woman is courageous enough to say, for example, when I feel jealous of someone, this is what I do, is I make them wrong. I make fun of them in public, whatever that is. Then now we can move to the conditioning that's underneath it, because it's so easy to identify with those things, which creates shame, which means we stuff it inside, but it's not who we are. It's just part of that conditioned collective mindset that has kept us repressed. So I think it's so potent what you're sharing, and I second that. Hualani, do you want to add anything?
In order to not recreate all of what we've experienced so far, I feel that when we come together, there must be an agreement amongst us that holds a sacred container for truth, love, non-judgment, no gossip. In other words, what is stated here stays here. And hold firmly to those boundaries and address it when someone usurps them. Because we can't really be completely vulnerable until we have a sense of safety in our being and in our bodies. So there's a period of establishment of that trust in the circle in the beginning. As you get to know each other and come to trust each other. And then just be in the flow of what's surfacing and understanding that whatever one person is speaking is resonating with many, triggering something in many in the circle. So there's a stirring of the mud and a lifting of the mud, and then having the tools to bring that to completion before you leave and go back home into your everyday life.
Yeah, beautiful.
And also have a vehicle for follow-up too. So like, for example, if you're coming together once a month, things are going to rock during those weeks that follow that time together. So there needs to be something in place to support each other for when something is really rocking, when something has been deeply stirred.
Yeah.
But that's the real work, to really embody our radiance. We've got to stir the mud that's in our bellies.
I love this. Yeah. I think it is. You both are speaking the same, and I'm agreeing 100%. Stir the mud, bring the shadows, hold it together, create sacred space, bring presence, own your projections, own any subtle agenda you start rising in you, because it serves the whole. Yeah. Oh, I think we need to see the wolf as we start to wrap up. Can you bring the wolf into the picture here? Tell us just tell us a little bit about your wolf dog. Speaking of feminine power, I'd love to hear something about her as we wrap up.
It's a him.
Oh, it's a him.
Yeah.
Her. Interesting.
But he watches my every move every day.
Uh-huh.
And he adores me. I don't think there's anything in this world that adores me more. He just turned 12. He was one of a pair. I had his brother as well. I had two boys.
Wow.
And he died of cancer, the other one. This one is the younger one. So there was a period of adapting to me as opposed to his brother, because he followed his brother wherever the brother went. And then when he passed, this one was 7, and he had to adjust to life and started following me, and he never left my side since then.
Wow.
But interestingly enough, I've gone through a lot of hardship in these previous years, and he's been my amazing support system, because I got divorced and I had to support my son, and I sometimes felt, how I'm going to do this by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But having this wolf energy around me kept reminding me of my strength, and that I can actually do all of this.
It goes back to what Hualani said earlier, is we're not alone. And sometimes it's so mysterious how the support comes in, and that we do need to belong. Pack animals, that's most, animals, they have either mated for life or they're parts of a pack. Some are solitary, but we humans are wired for social connection. And so needing to feel that belonging. And I think it's so beautiful. I had a dog that was by my side through my divorce and through big parts of my journey. And it's like, we never know, but if we're paying attention, life does provide the belongingness. And sometimes it's just looks different than we think. So thank you for bringing him into the show today. That was wonderful. Any closing thoughts here from either of you?
Yeah, just step off from what you said about we're not alone, and to remind people that it's not just in the physical people around us, but also in the invisible realms, where we spoke of earlier, of the elders, the grandmothers, to call them into connection, to tell them you're listening, to make their presence known, so that you really have a sense of something beyond yourself, to know that we're not doing this alone.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
And in our connection with the planet, Mother Earth,
Mm-hmm.
really deeply rooting into her body.
Yeah.
because she's listening too.
And all of that requires us to slow down,
Yes.
which goes back to the feminine principle of resting and yielding.
Yeah.
Because without that, it's quite hard to access heart and intuition and the essence of other loving presence, whether it's in
Yep.
form or out of form.
The sacred pause.
The sacred pause. And so on that note, Marie, do you have any final words?
Yes, because interestingly enough, this year in about March, I had this really urgent and very severe need to delve into something like this, what you're describing, into a restful period. And I knew it's going to be bigger than just a few weeks. Because all through my life, I've never actually been able to define what I want to do with my life in the conditioned way that we are all taught to define our career, or however you want to say. And I just felt that this year is somehow defining for me, and it will be defining. And for that to emerge, I need to delve into this darkness and unknown and being alone and not being scared to be alone. So this is still a process I'm going through. I'm really very much by myself, and I've been distancing myself from people, and I've been asking for understanding. And I think this is a birth process for me personally that I'm very excited to discover. But I think, generally speaking, we don't get these urges or these feelings just for fun. There's always a reason that can, and we have to honor them.
Thank you for bringing that in, and for your courage to honor the need to just go inward and to let your friends know you're not available right now and it's not personal, and just letting people have whatever journey they have around that. It's so powerful to claim an inner authority in the way that you're describing. And yeah, thank you for doing this and for bringing that piece in. Wow. Well, I hope this is to be continued. And I want to thank you both so very much for your presence and your hearts today. It's been incredible to be with you both.
Thank you too.
Yeah.